So much for joining us. In case you are, we are at the tail end of the show, but you will definitely be in a position to catch up on a few issues, key among them the mediation process over the Division of Revenue Allocation 2019-2020 that is currently ongoing in Parliament, and currently addressing is a member of the delegation drawn from the Senate, that is Nairobi County Senator Johnson Sakaja. Let's listen in.
We did, of course, had another mediation before. Although there are different mediation, the subject matter is the same. In fact, where we started that mediation then is where we are today. Slightly bit different, of course. At that time, the first bill came with 310 from the National Assembly. Yes. I will just do a background and we proceed. What is out of order? Don't give it mine. I'm on. Yes, Senator. Chair, Member Kibiri.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
I don't want to guide you on exactly how to run the meeting, but before we started this meeting, we confirmed that this is a new mediation. Reference to the previous mediation and starting to say that things are the same are things we should not be bringing into this meeting. We have a specific bill, Bill number 2 of 2019. That is the subject matter of the mediation. So I would urge that we avoid any reference to previous mediations at this point until we have introduced what is this bill all about, what are the issues in contention, what is the basis for the mediation. Because if we start getting ourselves stuck into previous mediation, we are now going to get ourselves saddled with the why it did not work. We are in a fresh mediation. Let's start with the mediation of Bill number 2 of 2019. So, Chairman, if you could introduce the subject matter from that perspective without reference to the past, then we shall make progress.
Thank you, Member. I had no intention to get stuck in the old bill. It was only by way of introduction, but I take your point. May I ask, if you have, with permission, members, maybe members from BBO to give us a quick run-through of the bill? Yes?
Chair, I'm not certain whether, and maybe you need to make a ruling. There are certain minimal things that, legal issues that have been agreed upon. And if therefore we have to go back as if we didn't agree on them or we didn't discuss them, then it simply means that you start from scratch again, we regurgitate our arguments again, attempt to agree again. So maybe the Chair can guide whether the certain minimal things that we agreed on that were in contention, other than the shareable revenue, need to be revisited in detail as they were in the previous mediation.
No, Member, the bill before us, Bill number 2, is actually, is a new bill.
True.
Yes. The contents of the bills are always, the headings are all the same. There are things that actually changed between now and the old bill, but there are two issues which are the same, I know. Yeah. But when I was trying to introduce, I wanted just to at least to bring people to the same level. But for now, I will suggest, because let's not dwell on this matter a lot. We have a bill before us that originated from the National Assembly, which we came to us, and we amended it, and that bill is there before us now. I will just quickly ask the Secretariat from BBO to give us a quick run-through. What is the content of the bill before us, the issue before us? The bill as published and passed by the Assembly, National Assembly, and as amended by the Senate. Just give us a quick thing. Then we start from there. And the point of departure, the thing will come, yes?
But Chair, even as you go along.
Yes.
Chair, even as you go along, the success of mediation is the attitude we all hold.
Yes.
Of course, it's a new document that we're looking at. But the mere fact, even as we elected the chair and the vice chair, we spoke about institutional memory.
Correct.
We cannot be blind to the fact that we've gone through this process. So we can choose to be technical or pragmatic.
I know.
And that is that we should have. Yes, it is a new document and a new bill, but the history, the institutional history, what we went through is still fresh in our memory. So if the gains were already made, let's be pragmatic enough to build on from there.
Thank you, Senator Sakaja. In fact, I do agree with that position, because as we proceed, once we start, then I think we will not reinvent the wheel. We must remind ourselves what was discussed, what was agreed or something. We remind ourselves when it comes. Body was for you.
Right, we've had that mediation process happening in the national, or better yet in Parliament, where both teams from the National Assembly and from the Senate are currently now engaged in mediation, just laying the groundwork. And earlier on, I had told you that we're crossing over to listening to Senator Sakaja. Indeed, he had made his submission before Engineer Mohamud took over. And Sakaja said that this is a matter that has already been in the public domain. It should not be done in secret. That is the mediation process. This must be open as per provisions guaranteed by Article 35 of the Constitution. He went ahead and said that every leader is elected by the electorate, so that they are able to get to the root cause of some of these issues. Now, let me come to you, gentlemen, and I'm very sure, Matthews, you're in a position to follow the curriculum conference that was there last week, and over 2,000 delegates gathered there, a lot of resolutions coming forth. What was the take-home for you as far as quality education and moving forward is concerned?
Okay. About quality education, we have to consider the future of the children and also train teachers on how to look at the coming years and the kind of children they have to give to this world. A generation that respects each other than just the normal way of just memorizing concepts and reproducing in form of just earning certificates and good grades. We should also be looking at the moral aspect and the character of this child. And that's why, as Teachers Without Borders, we feel that we can bring in the concept of peace education.
And conflict resolution.
Under conflict resolution. Because I've seen some of my students who get A's as grades and thereafter engaging into conflicts and dying before even they see their future. And you'll always realize that these children who are like the youngsters are the ones who are perishing in conflicts. And remember, we are relying on them to give us the new generation. The old guards may not keep giving birth to the new generation. So the youngsters who are dying in conflicts should actually be given room to live in harmony, coexist. And that's why the two organizations, Teachers Without Borders and Heavenly Culture, World Peace and Restoration of Light, we are coming together and see how we can infuse in competency-based curriculum the issue of peace education. It can actually be treated as a formal education or hidden curriculum that can be there. So what I saw on competency-based is like, okay, it's activity-oriented. And what they are offering is like mathematics activities where just teachers oversee what the students are engaged in. Like you talk of English activities, Swahili activities, hygiene and nutrition. We are looking at religious activity, literacy, but there is that concept that is lacking. As much as there is religious activity, but we've seen that religious subjects have not so far achieved the main objective. And that's why we feel like peace education, of which we have the curriculum already set. We've already come up with a booklet with 12 units with HWPL to have it infiltrate into the normal curriculum. We are not saying that it can be a subject as such, but it can be when the teachers are teaching a subject, they can bring in values.
Part and parcel.
Yes, part and parcel of what they are teaching in class. So like even setting questions, you set questions in relation to bring in a certain value. It should not just be a topic, but look at how this topic can bring the concept of value.
Value-based.
Yes, value-based.
Article 10 of the Constitution.
Yes.
That talks about values of the nation. And coming to you, Jean-Lee, in terms of best practice, maybe you can share with us this afternoon what has been the situation in as far as this area of study is concerned back in your home country.
Oh, actually, let me just shortly and briefly kind of explanation about HWPL first. Actually, HWPL is the founded about 2013, and then it is registered in the United Nations exactly. And then this is like Department of Global Communication, and then it's guaranteed by consultative status of the United Nations Economic and then Social Council. And then what are we exactly aiming on? We're nothing aiming any other thing, but only for the achieving the real peace. That is why the Mr. Man-hee Lee, who is the chairman of the HWPL, he really wants to do lots of activity to achieve the real peace.
So because definitely in terms of best practice, Matthias, there has to have been a benchmark of sorts, even as you interacted with Korea, yes. Right? How is the situation like back at home? What lessons can we borrow from you in as far as this area of study is concerned?
Exactly the most important thing, the South Korea and North Korea is exactly the country who's still fighting inside exactly. So even the chairman Man-hee Lee, what I just be telling him, he is a veteran in the Korean War exactly. So he was in the war as a veteran. He really wants to achieve the peace through by this kind of thing. So now on, what are you going to do, as I just mentioned about, we have the three institutive things, and the last one is the peace education.
Peace and education.
Yes.
Talking about peace and education, Matthias, we saw this particular initiative attract the attention of government, and you had the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that is Ababu Namwamba, preside over the launch. I don't know, from a government point of view, what nature of discourse you've had when it comes to implementation, because on one hand we've got CBC, but on the other we've got this initiative which you're saying, which needs to find its way into the curriculum in one way or another. Not as a subject, but as part and parcel of what we'll go through. So maybe you can share with us this afternoon some of the guarantees that you were given that this initiative is going to get to the next level.
Okay, we are not here actually to reinvent what is already there. Like the Ministry of Education has its own program for peace education. But we had a session with one of the Deputy Quality Assurance and Standards officers, who actually told us that because of lack of resources, that's why they have not rolled out the issue of peace education into schools. Sincerely speaking, we came to an agreement that no learning can take place in a conflict-prone region, and Kenya is prone to tribal conflicts. As much as we are enjoying, like right now, the so-called peace, but we cannot be guaranteed that it's sustainable. So we are trying to discuss, we are actually discussing with the ministry on the way forward, other than using a lot of resources. How can we come up with initiating the concept of peace education? And therefore we were thinking of like, how about coming up with peace clubs in schools, whereby we have schools with their clubs and we bring in the concept of competition among schools, either at county level, and then at regional level, then finally at national level. And then after that, we give like awards for those that debate well, especially on issues related to peace. And besides that, thereafter, we look at how do we follow up? Like how do we actually award the schools in different counties that are actually implementing peace values. And that's why as we incorporated the government so that we can work hand in hand to help achieve peace. We may teach everything, and I'm assuring you, even the business people will agree with us that they are not willing to invest in a place where they are not sure of 10 years to come. And therefore, the children that are growing, they have actually, some of them have grown having that culture that conflict is part and parcel of life. Like you'll find Turkana fighting other tribes, and the children grow in such like environment.
It becomes a way of life.
It becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
Now, how do we actually curb this kind of menace at that young level, whereby we have children as they grow up, they know how to resolve conflicts other than a violent way of solving. And then we're also looking at, as teachers, other than using the concept, I'm happy that corporal punishment was removed.
Yeah.
Because children learned that the only way to solve a problem or correct a behavior is through violence. And children have never failed actually to imitate us.
Is it violence or correction?
Sorry.
Is it violence or correction? The Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So I don't know. I don't know where you borrow your school. But
all right, that's just one aspect of sparing the rod. Of course, like the Kenyan Constitution does not also allow teachers to do that. And some teachers have actually abused that concept and even leading to loss of life, right? So we are trying as much as we correct. There's a way in which, at a certain age, we can actually talk to these children and they will listen to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matthew is a symbol. And Tai Junli, thank you so much for coming in for the show. And right about now, we take you to the Crown Plaza Hotel, where there is an ongoing event. The Controller of Budget, the Office of the Controller of Budget has been launching the strategic plan. So let's cross over to the Crown Plaza and listen in.
The ideals we cherish, our fondest dreams and fervent hopes, may not be realized in our lifetime, but that is besides the point. The fact that in your duty, in your time, you did your duty and lived up to the expectations of your fellow men, and I would add women, is itself a rewarding experience and a magnificent achievement. End of quote. Thank you so much, Controller of Budget. Thank you so much, the office. You've been fantastic colleagues and partners, and I can only hope that the journey we've walked so far can only take us further in our partnership. I thank you and wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Makolo, representing other development partners who have been on this journey together. Ladies and gentlemen, we already had very...
That event brings us to a close in terms of the show this day, but let me just sample your feedback. Let me begin with Peter Prince. You say you've been watching the show from Eldoret, and you say thanks to the team for the comprehensive news. At Water 11, you're making reference to the story that was given or filed by Baraka Karama about the state of affairs in Kisumu County. Doctors and nurses are currently on strike, and you say that state of affairs is so sad, especially that lady who said that she's been dealing with a condition that requires medication. And you say quite a lot, but we'll share that later. And Bob Owino, at Bob Owino 2, you say some tell Justus that he's an ODM sympathizer, and you're watching from Kisumu. I'm very sure Justus has gotten your message. Thank you so much for watching the show, and have a good day ahead. My name is Samuel Njoroge. We'll do this again tomorrow.